Do you feel like men aren't capable of love these days? Are you confused how men even fall in love with women, if ever? They do, but it's really about the emotions you never thought men had. I know this is shocking, but after we discuss why men fall in love with emotions, you'll realize how you were neglecting your biggest superpower to engage men and keep them addicted to you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention and participating with me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. Welcome all you beautiful people, okay? Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Welcome Kayla T, Lena League, April, Kaylee, SH as well. We got Coco here and Lightning in the YouTube chat, Flower Child in the YouTube chat. Of course, we got Missy America holding down the YouTube chat. We got Ivy as well. Welcome all you beautiful people. And Lightning, I haven't seen you. I don't think I've seen you in a while. Where you been at? Where you been at? Welcome all of you beautiful people. All right, let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, I want us to go through an example story, and this story is what's going to set the stage for everything else we talk about, because I'm going to refer back to this story so that I can encapsulate everything I'm talking about in a direct example. Okay, so the story goes, there's two different types of girls. We're going to have one girl who is a supermodel, okay, except in her relationship with her man, she finds it very difficult to keep her man only and solely focused on her. Her man is cheating. Her man's out there. He's going to the club. He's texting girls. He's DMing all types of girls. He's Snapchatting women. He's all over the place. And despite her being a 10 out of 10, she's got a dump truck. She's got voluptuous yitties. She's nice and fit and in shape. She's got a beautiful smile. She is an absolute dime piece. She finds it difficult to keep her man solely focused and loyal to her. Okay, so that's girl number one. Girl number two is more of a girl next door. Let's just call her average. Okay, she's quote unquote regular. Just a girl you would see, think looks nice, attractive, but nothing over the top, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, however, in her relationship with her man, she has her man wrapped around her finger. Whatever she says goes, how it goes. He's happy to do the most for her. He's happy to buy her all types of flowers, take her on all types of fancy dates, make sure he treats her like a princess. He's happy, take her shopping, spend money on her. He is more than willing and happy to do the absolute most for this girl who we would mostly consider to be an average regular girl. Okay, so these are the two types of girls. And this is obviously an example, but this exists in real life. Okay, so I want us to step into some of the themes that would be going on in each of these individual situations and scenarios and why they might be happening. Okay, so first let's dive into manipulation. Okay, the word that everyone seems to get all confuzzled and gets themselves, I don't want to say panties in a bunch, but gets themselves, in an uproar about, because when we hear the word manipulation, we think that manipulation always has to have a negative connotation towards it. Part of stepping into the Players Club is understanding that manipulation is always happening all the time. Okay, and there are good ways to use manipulation to get what you want, especially if what you want is not necessarily a bad thing. And I know for you guys in your scenario, in your situation, for majority of you, you guys are just looking to have a long-term serious relationship, which there's no harm in that. However, there is a strategy to having that. And yes, if you want that, you're going to have to do some manipulating, because as I give you knowledge on how men think and how they respond to things and how they react to things, you then in turn get to be more strategic about your approach, about your strategy, about how you outwardly project yourself, knowing that you will elicit particular responses and reactions from those men that are in line with what you want. So that is manipulation. I just have to warn you now and let you know. Okay. But I want you to understand in the process of that you don't necessarily have to feel super bad about that, or like you're a bad person, or like you shouldn't be doing that because it's unnatural or disingenuous, because we all manipulate each other for various different reasons. We even manipulate children. Okay. If you want a child to shut his mouth and stop crying and whining, what would you say? Oh, look, Jimmy, so we're going to go get ice cream. Only if you be good, though. We're going to go get ice cream later after you come, after I finish work and after we get done cleaning. So if you clean up well, right, you do your chores, you do your homework, we'll go out to the outside and we'll go to the ice cream shop and we'll get your favorite chocolate ice cream. Yay. And then the kid gets all excited and he's like, okay, mom, what do I got to clean up now? And all of a sudden you took a kid who was screaming and yelling and acting bad, and you got him to act how you wanted him to act by manipulating his emotions and giving him something that you know would elicit a particular response that was how you wanted him to respond. And so I say that to say that is manipulation. So don't be so scared of the word that you think anytime manipulation comes up, it has to mean something bad. And simply because we're talking about manipulating another adult to get a response that you want, that it necessarily has to be a bad thing. Because like I always tell you guys, you've been manipulated in your relationships before. And I guarantee you, if you're here listening to me on how to get the results you want in your relationship, especially when it has to do with dealing with men, that's because you've been the one getting manipulated by the men. And if you're tired of getting manipulated, then you have to actually figure out how you can be doing the manipulation instead, because someone's going to be doing it. Someone's going to be doing the manipulating and someone's going to be the one getting manipulated, especially at the beginning of these dating phases. So if it's not you doing the manipulating, you're the one getting manipulated. So the reason I bring up manipulation as it relates to these two particular examples of women, the one supermodel who is getting cheated on, and then the girl next door who has her man wrapped around her finger, right, is because I want you to understand that your superpower is and has always been as a woman is your emotional intelligence and your ability to tap into your emotions as an emotional being. Okay, that's your superpower as a woman. Okay, and the reason I say that is because I'm already about to start ranting. The world today has convinced you that the best way to approach men and deal with men is by trying to beat men at their own game. I'll be the first and maybe the only man to tell you the best way to approach men and get what you want out of men is not to try to act more like men or do what the men do. You should not be trying to outdo the men. Because at the end of the day, you will only end up frustrated that you can't outdo the men or do as they seem to be able to do so easily. Why? Because how the men do is natural to men and makes sense for men and their desires and their wants and their needs. The moment you try to start out trying to outdo the men, you will find yourself easily frustrated and in a place where you don't feel comfortable even maneuvering. Okay? Right? You'll start stepping outside of your feminine into your masculine because you're trying to be more like the men and act like the men. And in turn, you'll attract more feminine men. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should be attracted to or want in your life. I'm going to make the assumption that most of you feminine women want masculine men. If you want a feminine man, that's perfectly fine. I just don't know if I'll be able to help you attract more feminine men. Okay? Because I'm under the assumption that most of you are trying to attract masculine men. Please tell me in the chat, unless I'm mistaken. You guys, maybe some of you want feminine men that you will treat like a princess. That's perfectly fine. But if you're trying to attract a masculine man, then you can't be existing in your masculine trying to outdo the men at their own game. Are you following me so far? Right? Is that making sense to you guys? So, right? In the process of you understanding what your superpower is, what your skill set is, you have to understand your ability to tap into that skill set is going to be the difference between the men desiring you, chasing after you, wanting you, being engaged in you, falling in love with you, or not, okay? Because masculine men are not designed to fall in love with masculine women, okay? They're designed to fall in love with feminine women. Now, I'm not here to tell you what it means to be a woman and how you should embody your feminine, and I'm not going to tell you that I'm a man. But what I will say is, as a man, we are attracted to the feminine qualities of women, okay? So if I say that your superpower is your ability to be in touch with your emotions, understand your emotions, express emotions, receive emotions, communicate emotions, bring emotions out of people, right? Then that means when you're dealing with men, the deeper you are tapped into that side of yourself, the better off you will be. And I'm obviously, this topic today is how men fall in love with emotions, because I know for most of you that experience men in a way where it's like they just come to you, they meet you on a dating app, they swipe left and right on you, they barely seem to want to have conversation with you, they just want to jump right into having pineapples, and as soon as you have pineapples, it seems like they just forget about you and they want nothing to do with you. And then you're sitting there like, are men even capable of falling in love? Do they even have feelings? You just all seem like these cold, heartless people that don't seem to care about anything but yourself. How can you be so selfish? And I understand that can be very frustrating. But what I also want you to know is that men are more than capable of falling in love. And the way they fall in love is through the emotion, not by how well you can get on your hands and knees and scrub the floor. Okay. I'll be the only one to tell you that their ability to fall in love with you is not by how well you can scrub the floor. It's not by how well you can make dinner. Okay, even though that's a plus, it's not about how well you can make dinner. It's even not about how big your dump truck is or how voluptuous your yitties are. Engaging his emotions and understanding how to use his emotions to get him invested in you is how you get and keep him, okay? That's how you get desire. We'll talk about desire in a bit. That's how you will elicit particular responses from him. That's how you pull out of him all of his deepest wants and needs. That's how you get him super invested in you, where all he can think about or be consumed with is you, okay? It's all about the emotions. I don't know what other people tell you. Some people might tell you, just make sure he spends money on you. That's fine. Some people might tell you, oh, just make sure you hold this against him. That's fine. Some people might tell you, make sure you do a twirl 3 times. That's fine. Some people might tell you, go get a BBL. That's fine. Me, as a man, right? If I had to tell you what I think and perceive as the way men are falling in love, to me, it has been and will always be through emotions, and understanding how to engage and manipulate someone's emotions to elicit a particular response will always get you where you need to go, especially with men. Men are falling in love with the emotions that you elicit from them. Okay, this is where I want us to, we're going to start picking up speed. So I want you to be following along. Okay, men are in love. What they're actually in love with, they're in love with the emotions you can elicit out of them. Okay? So when you can elicit strong emotions out of them, they begin to fall in love with the strong emotions you can elicit out of them. Have you ever heard a man say to you, or have you ever said it yourself, I love who I am when I'm with you or around you? How many of you have heard someone say that to you or have said that to someone else before in a relationship or in a talking stage? I want to know. I've heard it before and I've said it before. So I'm curious how many of you have heard that from a man before or said that before in your life. Miley said plenty of times. Lishi says both. I've heard. Enlightening in the YouTube chat says, yeah, I've said that. Okay. Gina says me. SA says, I heard it, but it was more for to manipulate me. Okay. Queen V says, I've heard it. Okay. So the reason I ask you guys that, and the reason I say that is because I want you to understand when someone is saying, I love the person I am when I'm with you, what they're really describing is the feelings and emotions that you elicit out of them that motivate them to do different actions, say different things, act a particular way. But it all stems from the emotions that they feel towards you, right? And I always tell you guys, whenever you want a guy to be chasing you, whenever you want a guy to be interested in you, whenever you want a guy to fall in love with you, anything that you desire as it relates to getting a man's attention focused on you, it's all about understanding how to engage emotions and manipulate emotions, right? The worst thing a man can feel about you is indifference, okay? Right? And indifference is, oh, she's chill. She's all right. She's cool. She's whatever. Right? How many of you, tell me in the chat, how many of you have a guy in your life that you know likes you and you know is interested in you or have had in your life, and you would describe him from your own perspective as chill, as cool, as right? Tell me in the chat if you've ever experienced that from the other perspective, where there's a guy who's interested in you, but you wouldn't describe him as being very exciting or interesting. You just describe him as chill. He's cool. He's all right. It's whatever. I don't feel angry when he's around. I don't feel sad when he's around. But I don't necessarily feel euphoria or overjoy or, like I'm over the moon. It's just chill. You're just cool. Like you're existing and it's fine, right? Like it doesn't make me feel anything either way. And he says, I have, Inna says, yep. Your mom says, yeah. Oh my God. Batia says, happened to me. Lee says, yeah, I broke up with him last week. Chantel says, yes, I have. Okay. So, and the reason I ask you guys that is because it's the same thing for the men, right? As you like these men, right? You like men that elicit very strong emotions from you. And it's the same thing for the men. They like women that elicit very strong emotions from them. So the moment you hear a guy describing you, or you get the sense that everything he feels when you're around is just chill, it's cool, it's whatever. It's not that bad. It's not that amazing, but it doesn't make me upset, right? What that's communicating is that there are no strong emotions associated with you. Think about this, okay? On the topic, we're talking about manipulation, obviously, but we're also talking about strong emotions. Think about this. For someone to describe themselves as being obsessed with you or someone, really think about what obsession is. Okay? Like really contemplate what it means to be obsessed with someone or something. That is not a chill feeling. That is not indifference. That is not relaxation. That is not, oh, I could go with it. I could go without it. If it's here, it's here. If it's there, it's there. It is what it is. Everything is whatever. That is, I have to have it. I need to know. I need it. I must have. I will do anything required for me to have that person or that thing. I feel like I'm being set on fire. My emotions are on fire. Everything is strong and intense. Nothing is chill or relaxed. That's obsession. Obsession is strong and intense in its nature. Okay. And if you're truly in love with someone, like we mentioned earlier, right? The two examples of the two women, the supermodel who's getting cheated on versus the girl next door who seems to have her man wrapped around her finger. That is hyper focus on his girl, right? In the second scenario, that's hyper focus on his woman to the point where he can't see or think or care about anything else that's going on with any other woman. It doesn't matter. See, this is the thing. When he's hyper focused on his woman, it doesn't matter if the girl with the biggest dump truck walks by, comes up to him, smiles in his face and says, hey, you want to come back to my place? It doesn't matter, because when the emotions are engaged in the right way, he literally cannot have space in his mind to think or desire anything or anyone else outside of the woman he already has in his life. Do you understand that? I want to give you guys that so you can understand how powerful it is to focus on trying to engage a man's emotions and manipulate them, if you want to say it like that, to get what you want out of him. Because there will never be a time where another girl won't have a bigger dump truck than you. There will never be a time where another girl won't have more voluptuous yitties than you. There will never be a time where there isn't an even more pretty, even more beautiful, even more amazing girl. Not that you're not amazing, right? But even more stunning girl won't be around your man. Okay, like let's get for real. So if that's the case, then the question becomes, how do you get your man to fall in love with you and be engaged and hyper focused on you, that even when he is met with that temptation, it doesn't matter? Okay. How do you get him actually invested in you to the point where he can't uninvest himself in you, to the point where you have him wrapped around your finger? This is called the Players Club, right? So you're understanding how to get what you want out of life, and specifically out of relationships in this case. Okay. And if you're going to do that, you have to understand how to elicit particular responses out of him, how to manipulate his emotions. This is why I say you want to make sure you're tapping into your superpower and not trying to outdo the men, because as we all know, well, you should know this by now. If you don't, you'll realize it now when I say it. Men are naturally emotionally stunted. It's not necessarily a bad thing. We all just have different skill sets, men and women. Okay. So naturally, majority of men are going to be emotionally stunted or find it difficult to be able to readily tap into their emotions. Okay. Outside of like someone like me, I'm not real. Okay. I actually don't exist. I'm just a figment of your imagination. But for majority of most men, they will find it difficult to tap into their emotions, communicate them, pull those emotions out of themselves, and even receive emotions in general. Okay. And it's your job to use your superpower not only to help him in his emotional stunted growth, but also to use it to get what you want out of life and out of the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Because since he is emotionally stunted, well, then you can use that to your advantage, that you're emotionally intelligent and aware, that you can actually figure out how you want him to feel, what you want him to think, how you want him to respond and treat you, right? By manipulating and massaging his emotions so they're shifted and focused in the right place. Are you guys following me so far? Does that make sense? Are we on the same page so far? I know the topic seems very light, but you know, we get deep here. Okay, so we're discussing manipulation right away when we're talking about why men fall in love with emotions. Okay, it's not about the biggest dump truck. It's not about the voluptuous yitties, although those things are great. And those things are what makes men more open to getting to know you and open to even falling in love with you. I won't pretend like those don't matter. Those are great additions. But at the end of the day, keeping a man engaged is not about having the biggest dump truck. It's not about having the most voluptuous yitties, truthfully. Okay, I'm telling you this as a man. Right? Okay, so you guys are following me. So manipulation was number one, right? That was the first theme concept I wanted to discuss with you guys. Number two, I want to discuss the mirror effect. Okay, pay very close attention because this might be a little bit complicated. The mirror effect. Remember, I just discussed with you guys how men are emotionally stunted. Okay, we've gotten past that. Men also find it difficult to realize when they're being manipulated, right? Because they're emotionally stunted. You can use that to your advantage in understanding that men fall in love with emotions, right? Because you can understand when a man is on a date with you, when he's seeing you, when he's speaking to you, when he's spending time with you, you can be strategic about understanding that he will naturally want to mirror whatever emotion or feeling you're projecting outwardly. Okay? We're not just talking about why men fall in love with the emotions. We're also going to talk about how you can use that to your advantage. Understanding that men naturally want to mirror whatever you're putting out to them can actually be used to your advantage, because you can project outwardly emotions or feelings that you want him to feel. And then after he begins feeling those things, right, feeling those emotions, you can then use that to get what you want out of the situation. Let me give you an example. Okay. So let's say that you're on a date with a man and you're going on this date and you want to learn more about his ex. Okay. And you know that not usually on these first couple of dates, men like to shut down and not talk too much about their ex. So let's say you approach the date and you're like, I'm so excited to like spend some time with you. I'm so excited to like see you and just learn so much more about you. Like, where have you been? Like, what have you been doing? Like, I just want to know more. So you said you were at this job and but like your last relationship, I'm trying to understand, like, how did you go about it? You seem like you're such a busy guy. You seem like you got a lot going on in your plate. How did your last relationship work? I'm so curious. Like, how are you managing it on a day-to-day basis? Like, and as he's talking, right, and he's feeding you this information, whether it's positive or negative, you're going, oh my God, that's so interesting. Huh, I didn't even think of that before. I don't think I've ever met a guy who does something like, tell me what that's like. Tell me what was that experience like? What was it like to be that? What did you actually feel? No, tell me really, what did you actually, and just, right? There's a particular way, right, that you're coming to this date, you're asking questions, but you have excitement when you're asking the question and you're projecting out excitement. You're projecting out intrigue. You're projecting out, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I'm loving everything that you're telling me. I'm loving everything that you're saying. I want to hear more. I want to go more in depth. You're the most interesting person I've ever met. This is so exciting for me to hear you talk about your life story, right? And you project that energy outwardly on the date. What does that do to him? He naturally says to himself, oh, wow, you're super excited to be on this date with me. You're super excited to spend this time with me. You're super excited hearing me share. So what does that do to me? Now I naturally want to mirror that excitement that you have and project back to you that same excitement to share more and more with you. So now all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like you're interviewing me or you're interrogating me, trying to dig up dirt about me and my ex partner. Now all of a sudden, I feel excited to tell you more about myself because I can see the excitement and feel the excitement that you have towards learning more about me. And all of a sudden, I'm talking more. I'm sharing more than I would have ever shared. I'm saying things I wouldn't even say to my best friends or my family members. Okay? Because now I'm in a position where I am now mirroring the feeling I'm getting from you. And because I'm mirroring that emotion, it's forcing me to spill more than I regularly would if I felt like you were angry with me or upset with me telling you about my ex or telling you about my past relationship or telling you in-depth stories about everything I've been through. Do you understand that? Right? And the reason I bring that up is because I want you to understand how the mirror effect also affects why men fall in love with emotions. Because I'll be the first one to tell you, maybe you've never heard this before. Nobody ever remembers what you say to them. Okay? Nobody remembers that. People only remember how you make them feel. I'm talking about everyone. Okay? Really soak that in. Right? It's very difficult when you think back to situations, right? Or think back to experiences you've had with people. You really can't remember everything exactly in detail that was said, but you can remember in detail and vividly the feeling or emotion that you had in that situation with that person in that experience. That is such a powerful realization because when you go out into your relationships and you go out into your dating stages, your talking stages, whatever, all you have to be thinking about is what emotion do I want you to feel? This is why I started with manipulation, because when we get here, it sounds very dark and it's like, whoa, we're talking about like the art of manipulation. We're talking about you're talking about some stuff like making you you sound like a puppet master, right? But this is the truth, right? When you go on these dates and you start thinking to yourself, what emotion do I want him to feel? Well, then you start figuring out, okay, I know he's naturally going to mirror me. So what emotion can I project outwardly? And then you start to become, this is why I said you've been neglecting your own superpower, because you've been at the mercy of your own emotions for so long that other people have been able to use that to manipulate you. But when you start to hone your own superpower, you begin very capable of eliciting emotions out of people, but even more capable of controlling how you project your emotions outwardly to people, making sure that you get the proper response and perception of yourself to those people. Okay? That's why I say it becomes like a superpower, because not only can you get what you want out of people emotionally, but you also become more in control of what you project outwardly emotionally. So it's not about not feeling the emotion. It's not about not being sad, not being overwhelmed, not being, upset, but it's about understanding how you can control what you feel and focus more on projecting out what most benefits you in that scenario. This is like we're going deep. We're going deep. We're going deep, 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 deep. Okay? Right? I'll give you an example of what I just said, right? Let's say you found out that your ex was cheating on you. Okay? And you have heard some things, seen some things, but you can't quite put the whole story together to understand it in its entirety. And you're trying to figure out how the pieces fit together and get your full 100% confirmation on it. Naturally, before you've been able to hone your superpowers, the first thing you'll want to do when you get the first inkling of something sneaky going on, oh my God, so I seen in your phone that you were texting a girl and saying, hey, what's up? Let's meet up and da 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 da. So I know you're cheating on me. Just tell me right now. Tell me what's going on and da 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 da. And then what does he do? What are you talking about? I told her that let's meet up because I was trying to figure out, we're throwing a surprise birthday for you and we're throwing a surprise birthday for you. She does this event stuff and, and the process of us doing an event, I just didn't even realize, like, we were just having conversation and we are just trying to figure out, she was trying to help me with something. And then she also goes to my school. So she was helping me with my homework. And you're like, that makes no sense. Show me the messages. Oh, it was on Snapchat. I deleted it. So it was on Snapchat. I can't get the messages back and, it's gone now. Right? And then all of a sudden, because you jumped out the window and because you went ahead and allowed your emotions to control you, right? And weren't in control of what you were projecting outwardly. Now he gets to say, oh, but I don't know what you're talking about. It's on Snapchat. It's gone, right? And there's no way now that you said what you said, he's onto the fact that you're onto him, and he changes up his strategy in order to not get caught anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? Vice versa, if you were to know something was going on and say to yourself, okay, I feel upset that something's going on. I have an inkling that something is going on. However, I'm not going to jump out the window and seem upset. I'm not even going to alert him to the fact that I know what's going on. I'm going to look back into my schedule book and see when the last time I hung out with him was. Go back into our text messages and see when he said he was busy or doing something. And I want to see what information I can get out of him to understand what exactly was he doing at those days and times. And so in the process of you guys casually hanging out, you don't show him that you're upset about anything. You actually make a concentrated effort to make him feel like everything is fine. So you think back to how you act, how you talk, how you joke when you're feeling fine, and you act fine, right? And in the process of you acting fine, you ask him casual questions like, oh, so I remember you were saying remember on Thursday we didn't get to hang out or whatever. What were you saying that you did again? Oh, I was watching Netflix at home by myself. Yeah, I was watching Netflix. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, interesting. right? And then you let's say some of the day goes by or whatever, and you're joking with him, you guys are laughing about something, and you're like, oh nah, this is crazy, I'm trying to find something new to watch. What were you watching on you said that you were watching a movie or something when you were, what were you doing on Thursday? You said, let's see if we can find something to watch. What was it that you said you were watching that day? Right? And then he's like, what are you talking about? On Thursday I wasn't watching anything. Thursday, the day that we didn't hang out, you said you were watching Netflix, right? And then he goes, oh yeah, I was watching Love Island. I was watching. I can't remember. I don't remember what I was watching. I just put on something random. See, and then you start to collect clues over time. And the reason I gave you guys that example is because I want you to understand how powerful it can be when you focus on making sure that you are projecting out the emotions that you also want him to feel, right? And you are, oh, what's going on? Oh my gosh, I just seen it on TikTok. It said your live studio access suspended. I think I got suspended on TikTok. What the hell? Let's see. I don't think I'll be able to go live. Says we enforce our suspension time. Wow, I just got suspended on TikTok. That is so crazy. That is so crazy. What the hell? That was weird. I have no idea what I got suspended for. Sorry guys, just give me 1 second. I gotta figure this out on. Let's go home here. I guess I can't go live anymore. Yeah, I got suspended. Sorry, I'll get back to it in a second, guys. You guys know TikTok's a weird place. TikTok is, that's why I be having 2 places that you guys can come and see me. Let me just see if it's possible for me to restart this and get back on. I have no idea what the community guideline was that I got suspended for. And like they said, wow, that's tough. You're spitting so much. Don't worry, we'll get back into it in a second. At the end of the day, you guys know, everyone on TikTok knows where to come. It says access will be restored May 22nd at 4 p.m. Okay, so I guess we just have to wait till tomorrow before you guys can get me on there. Wow, that's so strange. Yeah, that's weird. Nah, I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about that. And it didn't suspend me for saying anything weird or like inappropriate. It literally suspended me. It says repurposed content. So I don't know what even TikTok thinks in that scenario. Anyways, unimportant. Let's keep going. Everyone knows where to find me on YouTube here. Anyways, let me just do one thing for you guys while we're here. I'm gonna create a vertical stream. Sorry, I know it's technical difficulties. I apologize, but this is why I'm so glad that I focus on YouTube as well, because see, if I didn't have no YouTube, then you guys would have nowhere to go. Okay, nowhere to go. Let's go do this. Let's schedule a stream. This is gonna take me 1 minute, guys. It's gonna take me 1 minute. And we shall get started up again. Don't worry. I know I was spitting. Don't worry, we gonna get back into it. I'm gonna set up like a vertical thing here. No worries. Sad face for those of you on TikTok, but hopefully you're here with me in the vertical version. So vertical here. And I'm just gonna do one last thing. Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to burp right into the mic. Okay. Perfect. It's just gonna, okay. Go live. There we go. Perfect. All right. Okay. So here we are again. I just put a secondary vertical stream on YouTube. So there'll be a secondary YouTube stream. Anyways. All right. So back to what we were discussing. We were discussing the mirror effect. Okay. Are you guys with me? How many of you came from, put in the chat if you came from TikTok and you're here in the YouTube chat now with me after coming from TikTok. I'm glad to have you here. Okay. Anitra says YouTube isn't as soft. Right. Yeah. TikTok, I guess, is a place for the weirder people. Okay. So good to have all you guys here. Okay. So also we have a I just put out a vertical YouTube stream as well. So if you guys are wondering, I'm gonna put up, I can't do it now, but I have a vertical YouTube stream going on as well, just in case you guys were wondering. So they can comment as well. M is in the vertical YouTube chat. All right. So we're discussing why men fall in love with emotions, right? So we have the mirror effect. And I was just talking to you guys about how you want to be understanding that men are naturally going to mirror your emotions to them and figuring out how you can utilize that to your advantage. Because at the end of the day, men are falling in love with emotions. They're not falling in love with dump trucks. They're not falling in love with voluptuous yitties. They're not falling in love with anything but those emotions. So you can figure out how to use that to your advantage to get him interested and focused on you. So number one was the manipulation. Number two was the mirror effect. Monica asked what happened on TikTok. I got a community guidelines violation for, it said repurpose content, even though obviously this is live. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But either way, they suspended me until tomorrow. That's what happened to TikTok. Okay. So number one was the manipulation. Then number two was the mirror effect. Number three, we have desire. Okay. Very important. Okay. Let's get back into it. Now, when I'm talking about desire and I'm talking about how desire affects men, and you need to understand desire is solely focused on emotions. I know a lot of you are wondering, how can I get a guy to desire me? How can I get a guy to be interested in me? How can I get a guy to want me? How can I get a guy to chase after me? That's good. That's fine. But I want you to understand that it is all about knowing how to engage his emotions and elicit strong emotions out of him, right? Why men fall in love with emotions is the same reason why men desire certain women and chase after certain women, but they don't chase after other women. Okay. And like I said, it has nothing to do, in the example I gave earlier, you can have a supermodel who's getting cheated on all the time, and you can have the girl next door who has her man wrapped around her fingers. It has nothing to do with your physical traits, because men fall in love with your ability to give them strong, positive or negative emotions. Okay. And we're going to get to anxiety and euphoria. Right? But I want you to understand, desire is one of those things that stems from your ability to be scarce to him. Okay? Your ability to feel unavailable to him. Right? You guys have to understand, for men to have a hunger for you, have a thirst for you and towards you, that would actually intrinsically motivate him to really want to chase after you, really want to have access to you, really need you in his life, like need you, like it must happen. It's not an option. It must happen. In order for him to have a feeling within him that strong, that he's falling in love with you, that he wants you more, that he desires you more, all of that stems from your scarcity, unavailability, how frustrating it is that he never feels satisfied getting enough of you, right? Getting the whole you. He always feels like he enjoys spending his time with them. It's with you. It's amazing spending time with you. It's amazing being around you, but it never ever feels like enough. Okay? That is understanding that will help you understand where desire is actually coming from, right? Desire is a strong feeling, right? And it stems from the strong emotion and the frustration of feeling like I want more of you in whatever capacity, whether it be I want to see you more, I want to hang out with you more, I want to talk to you more, I want to be inside you more, everything more. Okay? And that feeling of desire, of desiring someone, desiring a woman, stems from the frustration, which is also a strong emotion, right? That you are unavailable, that you are scarce, that you don't seem to be able to satisfy his hunger for you. Because even when you do spend time with each other, it's never enough. Even when he is inside you, it's never enough. Even when he is around you, it's never enough. Everything as it relates to access with you never feels like it's enough. It always feels like he needs more. Okay, so we're talking about why men fall in love with emotions, but the reason I bring that up is because I want you to understand these are part of the things you need to be focused on. If you want a man to be in love with you and hyper focused on you, okay? Desire does not come from a place of complacency, of, oh, this is chill, oh, I'm relaxed, oh, I don't really care, oh, it doesn't really matter. Desire comes from a place of feeling those strong emotions, not complacency, not it's whatever, not it's cool, not it's not she's chill. That comes from a place of strong emotions. So if you can figure out how to elicit strong emotions, well, now you can figure out how to get a guy to desire you. You see how that works? Okay, you see how that works? Sorry, let me just make sure this is offline. All right. So very important that you understand that. Okay. Mahin says, how do you approach him when you both become emotional and emotions are heightened? How do you resolve it when he reacts to what I ask him? What do you mean what you ask him? Okay. So there's nothing wrong with being emotional. There's nothing wrong with being emotional, but I want you to understand the person who will get manipulated the most and the easiest is the person who lets go of their own control of their emotions and is controlled by those emotions. Because when you join the Players Club, right, you realize that the manipulation, right, is how you get what you want. And the best way to manipulate, the only way to manipulate someone is to manipulate their emotions. So the moment you lose control of your own emotions, you open yourself up to being manipulated by the other person. Does that make sense? Okay. Sophia says, how should we act when we're in a relationship and he's emotionally attached and pursuing you still? Sophia, that's a great question. You don't have to do anything. See, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent here. One of the biggest mistakes you guys are making actually this is related, right? One of the biggest mistakes you guys are making is you feel your own subconscious pressure to do something if he's pursuing you, right? To do something if he's hyper focused on you. To be something or give him something if he's chasing after you, if he desires you a lot. When in reality, the less you do, the better, because it gives him more room to want to chase after you even more. And every time you step out and try to do more, thinking that that's somehow going to pay him back or make him desire you more, you actually end up losing. So as it relates to Sophia's question, you don't do anything. You stay in place You don't give him anything. You don't offer him anything that he doesn't need to be offered, right? That includes Squirtle, because sometimes you guys get so anxious that, oh my God, he's chasing after me. He desires me so much. If I don't give him Squirtle, if I don't give him something to stay for, then he's going to stop chasing after. No. Especially at the beginning, you don't satisfy that hunger by throwing at him exactly what he's trying to work for. Do you understand what I mean? Right? You continue engaging his emotions. And this is the thing. This is why I say men fall in love with the emotions, not your ability to give him Squirtle right away. You can actually, right, understand how to manipulate his emotions where he feels satisfied, like he's getting somewhere, even without you giving away Squirtle to him. Do you understand that, or does that not make sense? Right? You can make a man feel like he is getting somewhere with you without you giving away Squirtle to him. That's how you engage his emotions truly. Okay? And the reason I know this, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. So it's not like I know everything and you guys know nothing. Let me know in the chat if you've ever experienced this before. Have you ever experienced being in a relationship or a talking stage with a man where he's really not offering you anything, but somehow you continue to feel pulled in over and over again to come back or stay in that situation or that relationship, even though it's actually not serving you? But somehow it feels like he can give you just enough emotionally that it pulls you back in over and over and over again. Let me know if you've ever experienced that before. Okay? By the way, I see you guys in the vertical YouTube chat as well. Hello to Anita and Vanna. Okay? Let me know if you guys have ever experienced that before. Madison says yes. Batia says me. Sophia says yes, when I was emotionally immature and unstable. Okay. Now you're much better, right? And the reason I ask that is because I want you to understand, if you've experienced that yourself, then that means that it is possible to be engaged solely based on your emotions, even if someone's not necessarily offering you something physical or monetary or whatever, right? And people can breadcrumb you in an emotional sense where you feel like you're getting just enough that you want to stay and continue on in the relationship. Now, obviously that's tragic and traumatic for you, but the reason I bring that up is because if that can be done to you, you can also do that to a man. So in the process of him chasing and pursuing you, you can give him just enough emotionally that he is engaged emotionally. He feels those heightened sense of emotions and feelings, right, towards you and towards this relationship. And that's what he actually ends up falling in love with. He actually ends up falling in love with the fact that you're unavailable, that you're scarce, that you don't seem to have time for him, and how frustrated he feels that he doesn't have as much access to you as he wants to. So now, because of those emotions, what does he now feel? He feels desire towards you. I want you to understand how each of these things begin to trigger something else, which eventually triggers an action, right? The emotion of feeling frustrated and unsatisfied with the fact that you're unavailable and you're so scarce, right, creates the feeling of desire. That desire is what springs him into action to begin chasing after you, to begin courting you, to begin pursuing you heavily. You understand? And this is why I talked about manipulation at the very beginning, because I wanted you guys to understand and encapsulate how one emotion, or whatever emotion, understanding how to elicit that will trigger particular responses. And now knowing that, you can go out into your relationships, your talking stages, your whatever, and actually realize how you're going to elicit particular emotions in him that you know will give you in return particular responses and reactions that is what you want or expect or need him to do for you. And the best part about it is, after you do that, he'll feel like all of those emotions and feelings and everything that he did, all the thoughts that he have, everything that he did for you was based on what he wanted. He won't even feel like you forced him to do it. That's the best part, right? Amber says in the other YouTube chat, there's 2 YouTube chats now. Amber says in the other YouTube chat, you mean by being truly unavailable, right? Like being so busy and full with your own life that you're naturally detached from it. 100% Amber. You're new, but you're so smart. You're so smart, Amber. 100%. When I'm talking about being scarce, and I'm talking about how that frustration of you being scarce and unavailable elicits desire, which elicits him to chase after you. Yes, I'm talking about being unavailable on this phone, especially. We talk about this all the time. You are unavailable and scarce on this phone. That will increase his hunger and desire towards you, especially trying to see you in person. Because if he can't get access to you on this phone, what's the only other option is to try and access you in person, which means taking you out on dates, spending real quality time with you, and actually scheduling with you something real other than just, let's chat, let's text throughout the day and FaceTime every now and again. Okay. That's not actually going to benefit you or help you build a real relationship. Okay. So very important that you're able to elicit the emotions that you want, right? Red Rose says this applies to men with low self-esteem and no clear boundaries. Well, no. Men with high self-esteem will also feel anxious if they like you and are interested in you, and you seem to be scarce and unavailable to them. You have to understand that, right? Desire only comes from a place where there is space to desire something. You can't desire something that is already readily available to you 24/7. How many times, because I'm assuming most of us live in first world countries, how many times have you actually thought to yourself, I really want some water, right? The only times you probably thought to yourself, I really could use some water, I really need some water right now, are the times when you don't have water. Every time you do have water, you don't actually think to yourself how much you need and desire water. My point being is desire can only exist in a place where something is not available, right? And the reason I talk about not being available on the cell phone is because it creates the illusion that you're around all the time, 24/7, that he's speaking to you all the time, 24/7. He can text you, he can call you, he texts you all the time, he Snapchats you, for some of you, WhatsApp, right? He's sending you videos, he's sending you DMs, he's sending you TikTok, right? And it's like a 24/7 cycle of you always being around. He goes straight from sending you TikToks to sending you Snapchats to texting you, and then you show up, you sleep over for like 3 or 4 days. As soon as you exit the door frame, you're texting him. Right over again. It's a 24-hour constant cycle where they never feel like they have a break from you. And I know for you, this is why it's so important to understand. I know for you as the woman, you feel like you're more, have a closer bond and connection when you're talking to him all the time. But for men to have that desire and hunger for you, they actually need space away from you that they can begin desiring you. Remember, I just gave you guys the example of the water. The only time you think about how much you want water is when you don't have access to water. As soon as you have access to all the water you could possibly need, you don't think to yourself how much you want or desire water, because the desire can't exist where something is readily available to you. Okay? Right? Amber says in the YouTube chat, she says, thanks, I'm a silent replay watcher. Thank you for the content you create. You're welcome. Okay. Right. Anita says, is it a good move early on in the relationship? It is the best and only move I would recommend to you early on in the relationship, is to be as unavailable as possible so you can elicit the emotion and the feeling of desire. Okay. Men fall in love with the emotions that you give them. Not how big your dump truck is, not how voluptuous your yiddies are. Okay. Brittany says, Yes, I told him that I don't sit and talk on the phone all day, and that if he wanted to access me fully, he needed to schedule a day. We've been on a 3 within 2 weeks. It works. But I will say you have to have a secure attachment style to make this work. I 100% agree. This is not for the weak. Okay. It's not for the weak. It's not for the people who easily get anxiety. But I do want you to understand, even if you get anxiety from, keeping yourself scarce, especially over text, you will see the response from the men that you want. Okay. So number 1 was manipulation. Number 2 was the mirror effect. Number 3, we have desire. And number 4, we're going to discuss the concept of anxiety. Because I know when we talk about, why men fall in love with the emotions, everyone thinks, okay, they're falling in love with all the positive and amazing emotions that they'll feel around me, or feel when I'm there, or feel when we go on dates. What I want you guys to understand, it's not about a negative or a positive emotion. Men fall in love with the strong emotions that you make them feel in general, whether positive or negative. And in reality, it's actually best to give them a balance of negative and positive emotions in a strong, intense way when it comes to you and the relationship. If you're strategic about how you do that, you will elicit a particular response from him, and he'll be very invested in you, okay, emotionally. Once he's emotionally invested in you, he's invested in you. Okay. So the reason I bring up anxiety is because, like I mentioned to you guys before, how it's so important to say scarce and unavailable on the phone, right? Especially in today's day and age, that you remain in the essence of something that he is anticipating, looking forward to, wanting to see more, wanting to do more, wanting to just be around more, right? You have the essence of something he can anticipate because you're not available all the time, right? The process of you being unavailable also elicits a strong feeling of anxiety, frustration, okay? Unhappiness, as crazy as it sounds. Right? The unhappiness is not coming from you, but the unhappiness is coming from the frustration that every time he's not on a date with you, he never hears from you. Every time he's not able to go out with you or be around you, you're not available 24/7. You're always busy. You're doing things with friends. You're going out here. You've got work. You've got passions. And it feels like, to me, you never have enough time for me. While that's frustrating, the process of that eliciting that strong emotion out of me forces me to be more invested in you, because now I want to see you more and alleviate that anxiety I feel when we're not spending time together or we're not talking together, right? Think about it for yourself. Think about the guys in your life that you either like now, are into now, in love with now, or have been in love with or liked a lot in the past. They elicit the most anxiety out of you. Every time they don't text you back, or they take a couple hours to text back, or they seem like they're being short and dry with you, what does that bring out of you? That brings out of you the emotion of anxiety and the feeling of anxiety. You start to wonder to yourself, gee, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Do you not like me anymore? Are you not interested in me anymore? What do you want? What do you feel? Did I say something that you don't like? Did I do something that you don't like? Then you start replaying in your mind everything that you've done in the past week and thinking to yourself, okay, so last time that we went out, I made this joke, and maybe when I made this joke, he didn't like the way I said the joke, and like now he's upset at me because I made this joke this way, and he thinks like I was being rude, but I really wasn't trying to be rude. I was just trying to tell him my honest truth, and did it right. And you just start spiraling. Okay, you just begin spiraling down a rabbit hole. Trying to figure out what it is that he wants, right? And what it is that he expects from you, right? Trying to figure out why it is that he's changed, or what is different now, right? And the process of that anxiety that you're feeling makes you more and more invested in him. Does that make sense, guys? Right? Kim says, can I tell him I need more of an emotional connection with him, or is that giving too much away? No, Kim. You don't need to mention that you want more of an emotional connection. Remember, the men are emotionally stunted. So if you were to tell a guy you want more of an emotional connection with him, he doesn't even know what that truly means. Do you understand? Right? They don't even understand what that actually means. You have to do the job of understanding you want a deeper emotional connection with him. I've actually made a whole video about this before, but you have to do the job of understanding you want a deeper connection with him and figuring out how you can create that connection through getting him to talk about himself, talk about his experiences, share with you, because truthfully and honestly, men and people, they're not going to feel more emotionally connected to you by hearing you talk to them about you. That right? They're going to feel emotionally connected to you by talking about themselves to you. So the more they can share, the more the relationship can feel like it's about them. I know this sounds crazy, but the more the relationship can feel like it's about them, feel like it's benefiting them, feel like they're able to get off their chest everything that they feel and think, what's going to happen is he will subconsciously become more and more emotionally invested in you, right? And the feelings that you elicit out of him. Do you know how this is why I say your superpower is that emotional intelligence. Do you know how powerful it is for a man to be thinking, I share things and tell her things that I would never tell anyone else. I share things and tell her things that I thought I would take to my grave. She literally knows every single thing about me. Do you know how much power that you carry in that? Right? How much power you carry in that trust, right? How much power you carry around with you, right? Where you literally have him by the balls because he is so invested in you and he shares so much of himself in you. It becomes very difficult at that point to let you go. And remember, I always talk to you guys about when a man has fear of you not being in his life, that is a great place for you to be in because now you're in a position of power. Right? Even though, let's say he might have access to your Squirtle, you're in a position of power because it's not just about your Squirtle anymore. He's so invested in you emotionally that he fears losing out on you because of how much he's invested in you, that the fear of losing out on you gets him to stand up straight and act right. Because he knows if he doesn't respect you, if he doesn't act right, if he doesn't do the right thing, if he doesn't say the right thing, then you're going to walk out of the door. That's good. You want him to be fearful of that. Okay, so number one, we have that anxiety. Number two, we have the mirror effect, as I discussed earlier. Number three, we have the desire. And number four was anxiety. And number five, we're going to discuss euphoria. Okay, so opposite of the anxiety he feels, you also want to do the job of making sure when he does spend time with you, because this is not just about why men fall in love with the emotions, but also how you can use that to your advantage, right? Men also fall in love with the negative feelings and the strong feelings, but this is the thing. When you do this the right way, you can make each of those feelings feel extreme. When you make those feelings and emotions feel extreme, you become like a drug. And what do people do with drugs? They get addicted to drugs. Okay? Now, I know you're like, what? I want my man addicted. Yes. Get your man addicted to you. That's supposed to be your life partner. He might as well be addicted to you. If he's not addicted to you, he'll probably be addicted to someone or something else. And you don't want that. Get him addicted to you. You be his drug. The reason I say that is euphoria can also be a very strong emotion that you can elicit out of a man, and men fall in love with the feeling of euphoria they can get when they're with you. Do you understand? These are the reason I'm giving you guys these, right? Because these are the strong, just examples of some of the strong emotions that when men feel these things constantly around you and they associate those feelings to you, that's what they're in love with. The feeling that you elicit out of them. Okay? That's what they're actually, not your yiddies, not your dump truck. I keep saying it over and over again because I want you to get it, right? It's about eliciting the right and appropriate emotions out of him in an intense and strong way that turns you into a drug that he becomes addicted to. Men become addicted to the rise and the fall of those strong emotions. You don't necessarily have to be doing something shady or sneaky to make him feel strong positive and strong negative emotions. Okay, you can be strategic and elicit those same strong and intense emotions without actually doing anything shady. But you get the same result because he still ends up being as totally all consumed and obsessed with you as he would if, let's say, he was trying to chase after your Scooby-Doo clues and figure out what you're doing shady. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Because if you think to yourself, when were you the most invested in guys? You were most invested probably in the guys that gave you anxiety. Tell me in the chat. I don't want it to just be like I'm talking out of my butt. Do you think that there's a correlation between the guys you are most invested in giving you the most anxiety in your relationship or talking stages? Right? Or making you feel the most strong or intense emotions? Have you found that in your relationships that the people who gave you the most intense emotions tended to be the people that you were the most invested in? Have you seen that in your relationships before? Amber in the YouTube chat, says, "Yep, right." It's very important to understand that your ability to elicit those strong emotions will always pull people into you and focused on you more than if you are not eliciting those strong emotions, right? Anita says the toxic relationship. Yes, right? Brittany says the more anxiety he would give me, the more I chased for his love and approval. Perfect. I'm so glad that you said that. Right? Because it's the truth. And the same way you become addictively invested in a toxic relationship because of all of those strong emotions that you feel is the same way you can actually elicit that same feeling out of someone else, but in a way that still benefits you without you having to actually have a toxic relationship. Because it's not toxic to be too busy to spend all your time texting all day long. It's not toxic to have some passions or other things that you care about that you can't sit on the phone all day long 24/7. That's not toxic in itself. You understand what I'm saying? Right? But it still makes him feel anxiety nonetheless. It still makes him feel like you're so unavailable and like, what are you doing? Like, what are you spending your time doing? Why are you not paying attention to me? Why don't you care about me so much? Why don't you want to be around me so much and talk to me all the time? It still gives the same and elicits the same emotion, but it's not necessarily toxic. This is why I said, if you're strategic about it, you can have him addicted to you the same way without necessarily doing the things that would be quote unquote toxic, that would be quote unquote, make you doing something sneaky or cheating on him or whatever it may be. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Hero says, how can I do this? If you're referring to how can you, make yourself scarce, I always tell you guys, you stay off the phone. No texting, no calling, no FaceTime, no nothing. You only use the phone as a scheduling tool to have him schedule with you the next time he wants to see you on a date, the next time he wants to take you out to a place, the next time he wants to spend in person time with you. In-person time with you. Not no silly text conversation. Hi, how are you? How's your day? What are you doing? What are you up to? Oh, I'm good. I'm great. I'm eating dinner. No. Excuse me. Right? No. Only use the phone as a texting tool. So as we're referring to the euphoria, right? Anxiety is good when you're not around. You want him to feel those strong emotions. Euphoria is also amazing for when you are around. This is why I tell you it's so important to not be on the phone, because you don't want him to begin associating when you're around or when he's speaking to you with mundane and regular and relaxed and chill. You want his only experiences of you, especially at the very beginning. You want all of his experiences of you to feel extravagant and big, and that he anticipated them. And in the process of anticipating them, what's happening? His excitement's growing. So everything that you do when he's anticipating it for days and days and days, and then he finally gets to sit down with you on this date, it feels so much bigger and more awesome and more, out of this world of an experience, even if it's mundane and regular, because of how much he's been anticipating it. All of this gives him the feeling and emotion of euphoria. I feel euphoria when I'm around you because of how much I'm anticipating this, because of how much I'm in heaven when I'm around you. I laugh. I talk about things I've never discussed before. I share sides of me I didn't even know existed. I just feel like a person that is so much different than who I am regularly, and you bring that out of me. Remember, I asked you guys earlier, I said, have you ever been in a relationship or where someone has said to you or you said to someone else, I love who I am when I'm around you? What they're referring to is, I love the emotions that you make me feel, whether they're good or bad. They love how intense it feels inside them, right? To be with you and be around you. This is what men are actually falling in love with. All of those intense emotions. That it's not the dump truck. Okay. You can give him that euphoria by making yourself scarce, allowing him to anticipate you. And then when he finally does see you and spend time with you, making it high quality, making it interesting, making it engaging. Meaning you don't go on dates, right? Especially at the very beginning, you don't go on casual dates where you sit on his couch and you watch Netflix. That's not engaging. That's not going to give him euphoria. You do interesting things. It doesn't have to be going on $1,000 date to Nobu, but you do interesting things to him that are fun, exciting, maybe different, maybe scary, that allow both of you to remember and experience something new and interesting. But specifically for him, it elicits the feeling of, oh my gosh, I feel so much differently. I feel so alive when I'm around you. I feel so alive when we spend time together. I feel so alive when we go out on these dates together. What does that feel like? It feels like a drug. He's taking another hit. Every time he spends time with you, he's over the moon. He's taking another hit. Oh, we can go out on a date. I can't wait for this date. He spends a week waiting for this date and anticipating this date. He doesn't talk to you in any capacity outside of, on text or on the phone. He spends all this time waiting for this date. When he finally gets on this date, oh, I've been waiting for this all week. Oh my God. So good. So good. So good. So good. Right? That's what you want him to feel. Euphoria. I feel alive. I feel like I'm living. Right? I feel like and they begin to fall in love with the emotions that you elicit out of them, and they associate all of those strong emotions to you. Once they associate those strong emotions to you, you become the essence of that. Okay? And they become addicted to that. It's trust you me, right? And this is something that happens to all of us as human beings, because I'm sure as I'm saying this, you can probably think to yourself, that's true. The men that I was the most addicted to were the men that elicited the strongest emotions out of me. And so if that's the case, then you can be strategic about eliciting strong emotions out of the guys that you want. Because remember, for most of you, unless you have a huge, crazy bobblehead and an 8 head, you got a massive forehead, or you just got some deformity or something. For a majority of you, you guys are attractive women, meaning that men want you. Men will be interested in you. Men will want to chase after you. It's not really about the men not wanting to chase after you or wanting to pursue you. Because there's plenty of guys that like you that you're not interested in and that you don't care about, and they'll worship you at your feet. You don't care about those men. You're trying to figure out why the men that you do like don't pursue you or chase after you. Okay? And what I'm here to tell you is it's all about your approach. Right? It's all about your approach. And when you strategize your approach, you can definitely elicit emotions out of men that you want them to feel. And at the end of the day, men fall in love with emotions, nothing else. That's what they're actually in love with, is the emotions that you can make them or manipulate them into feeling. And they're too emotionally stunted to even realize you were the one eliciting that emotion on purpose in the first place. They don't even realize it, which is why I say you've been neglecting your biggest superpower in life and in relationships by not doing this. Okay. Annie donates $5. Thank you so much for the super chat, Annie. I really appreciate that. Annie says, is there any particular character yet from a movie that does this alive euphoric energy I can study? Okay, well, actually, that's a good question. If I had to think of a character in a movie, I'm trying to think of like a love story or a romance book. I'll get back to you. That's actually a really good question. The one that comes to mind is oh gosh, what's that one movie? I don't want to say a little bit the role that Margot Robbie played in Wolf of Wall Street, right? Kinda at the very beginning, but not so much at the end. Okay, but just I'll get back to you on an exact movie character, but you're thinking in the right sense, right? Like the whenever you watch a movie or a TV show, think of the character that seems to get all the guys or get everyone. It could even be a guy character. Get everyone paying attention to them. The way you get people invested in you is by eliciting strong emotions in them. It's really not anytime people feel complacency around you or of you or when they're with you or just, it's chill. It doesn't really matter. Nothing bad happens. Nothing good happens. Nobody cares about those characters. It's also a good way. Think about the characters in movies or TV shows that nobody cares about and nobody pays attention to. They're like a side character that is only there for jokes. Nobody takes them seriously. And usually they're never involved in any of the plot because they don't matter. They're not striking. They're not polarizing. They don't make you feel anything. Okay. Let's see here. Hero says he got mad because I ignored the next day when he saw he was pissed, even though I specifically said that I don't want to discuss nor have any more arguments through chat. Well, then that's he's overstepping your boundaries there. But if you want me to answer like a personal question, please head over into the Discord at the very on the description, below in the description, where you can actually find the you can ask your question in the relationship advice forum, which we're going to head over to the Discord in just a couple of minutes, and I'll answer your question in its entirety, where you can type out your whole thing there. Okay. So Jamie says he has opened up to me and told me all he wants of me. He wants all of me. How do I know when to move forward with the relationship? How much time needs to pass before I know he's not saying it to get in bed with me? That's a good question, Jamie. I would say in terms of that, you have to be focused on the right thing. So you actually need to sit down and write out what it is you want from a man and in a relationship. Like, write it out for real. Because for a lot of you don't even know what you want out of a man or out of a relationship. And it's preventing you from even knowing when it's present or not. You're waiting for the man to show you what you want, but you don't even know what you want. So you don't even know what you're waiting for him to show you. And so it starts with that you can actually know what it is you're looking for. And then in the process of that, when you're asking him questions, when you're learning about his past, learning about his exes, Jamie, you must be new here because we've had lots of discussion about this. But when you're learning about his past, learning about his exes, learning about who he's been, what he expects, asking him good questions, making it fun so he feels good about talking to you about himself and his experiences, you will begin to learn more about him. And then also giving it time that you see him and you're around him while he's upset, while he's sad, while he's angry, while he's happy, right? That way you know how he's going to treat you in a plethora of different situations, right? And not just when he feels good on a Tuesday afternoon when you guys go out on a dinner date. That's not really a real representation of who he's going to be on an average everyday basis, right? The real representation of who he's going to be is all of the experiences you have with him over time, especially when he's angry. If you find when he's angry, a lot of stuff switches up and is very different from who he was when he was on a date with you on a Tuesday afternoon, you know something's off because you're getting the real person when they're angry. Okay. Right. Nadifa says there was a movie with Queen Latifah. Her cousin played it well. What's the name of the movie? It's called Just Right. Okay, there you go. Just Right. Suzuki donated $5 to the chat in the other YouTube chat, in the vertical YouTube chat. She says, how do we approach him when he has deep mother abandonment wounds, so fearful of avoid? He means well, but hot and cold. Okay, so good question, Suzuki. I would say, see, this is the thing. Sometimes you guys ask me questions like, well, this won't work on an insecure guy, or this won't work on a guy with low self-esteem, or this won't work on a guy who's not confident. And I always answer to you guys, well, I'm not trying to help you attract a guy who's not confident. I'm not trying to help you attract a guy who has low self-esteem. I'm not trying to help you attract a guy who is insecure. You know, like, I don't think that that's what would actually even benefit you in terms of a life partner. And so as it relates to Suzuki, I think it's much of the same. When we're talking about if a man has such deep mother abandonment issues that it's actually preventing him from being or having healthy relationships, then that's not the man you're looking for. You understand? Like, you have to accept that you're not trying to fix people who are broken. You're only here to find the person who you are looking for. Do you get what I'm saying? So if let's say you find yourself in a relationship where the mother abandonment issues are so deep, right, that they're actually preventing you and this man from being in a real long-term relationship, it stops being your job to like heal that for him. He has to take his own time out and figure out how he's going to deal with that and heal from that, because you can't sit there and try to heal that for him. It's not going to work like that. Okay. But you also can't sit around and allow yourself to suffer by getting mistreated or disrespected by someone simply because they have mother abandonment wounds. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So you almost have to accept that if this is actually going to be a situation where these qualities or character traits are going to prevent us from building a real serious relationship, then you have to reevaluate if that's the relationship that you should even be in. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's the same thing as saying, oh, what should I do if I'm dating a guy who's emotionally unavailable? The answer is don't date a guy who's emotionally unavailable. You can't date a guy who's emotionally unavailable and then try to figure out how you make him emotionally available while dating him. It doesn't work like that, right? Okay. Suzette said, just joined. What are you talking about? We're discussing why men fall in love with emotions today. Okay. And we just finished discussing that, and we're about to head over into the Discord. Okay. A hero says, I need a sugar daddy. I don't want any more boyfriends. That's funny. Okay, so let's head over to the Discord. It's Discord time. Okay, we're gonna head over into the Discord where I'm going to give you guys I'm gonna answer some of your amazing questions in the Discord. Okay, so let's head over into the Discord and we'll get started here. All right, so first we have, let's see here. First, we have A1994. All right. So, A says, let's see, pull this up. Let me just pull this up here. Okay. A says, I'm talking to a guy I met online 3 months ago. He's in the US and I'm in Canada. He said he wants to come to Canada to see, but he doesn't know when. He has been consistent with communication, but flopped the last 2 Sundays for our weekly calls, still reaches out every day, even without calls. He apologized for not calling today and asked if he can call me. Should I just cut it off? Okay, okay. I want to be real with you. A lot of men are looking for pen pals in this day and age. A lot of men are mostly interested in having a pen pal more than anything. What I mean by that is um, they'll meet you online, they'll text you and call you, but when it comes to actually seeing you in person, they don't seem to have that same hunger or desire. I'm not necessarily saying that that's this guy for sure in this case, because if he's consistent with you in calling you and speaking to you on the phone, that's at least a good sign. But what I will say is, even when you're in these long distance relationships, right? If there isn't a hyper focus on when are we actually going to meet, when are we actually going to spend time with each other, when are we actually going to be around each other, I'm telling you, so easily you can find yourself in a position where you're talking to someone actively and building a relationship with someone who is only really interested in being a pen pal, not in forwarding the relationship and growing a real one. Okay, so it can be very dangerous meeting these people online, meeting these guys online, because it very easily can turn into a pen pal situation where you guys are just talking on the phone with no real plans of actually seeing each other in real life. Okay. And so my advice to you would be, if this goes on for too much longer, where he seems to not, he's consistent with you, phone calls and stuff like that, but he seems to be avoiding the idea of actually committing to like when he's going to come and see you. Because saying he wants to see you is not the same as actually planning the day and the time and booking the flight to go and see you. So if you find that he just seems to be consistently talking to you casually with no intention of actually putting this into action and seeing you in real life, until then, you haven't even started. This is no relationship, right? You met him online, you're right. So I'm glad you didn't say you're dating him or you're talking, because you're doing nothing. You don't even actually know him until you meet him in real life, because you can talk to someone and text them until you're blue in the face. You could even be on phone calls and FaceTimes until you're blue in the face. And then the moment you meet him in person, you could be like, oh, actually, this is not what I expected. This is not what I thought you'd be like. I don't think I'm as interested in you as I thought I was, because meeting someone in person and feeling their energy in person is very different than than just texting and calling them and FaceTiming them. Okay. So that's my advice to you. If this goes on for too much longer, like I'm talking like 3 more weeks, and you're not hearing anything about him seriously planning a date of when he's going to come see you, then just, let it go. This pen pal long distance stuff doesn't get you anywhere. Okay. Next we have Ima. Okay. Ima's title is friendship. All right. Interesting. Ima says 30 plus single. Hi, Tomisin. I like your channel. I'm talking to this guy for 2 months or so who hasn't had the best dating history in terms of toxic relationships. So he's pretty careful now. I asked him why he's single. He said it's better for him. He said he believes in building strong relationships. Okay. So what did I do last week? I told him it's better for us to be friends. He seemed hurt after I told him that. He got a little bit more distant after that, but I actually like him more than a friend too. I feel like he just said that because he was afraid of rejection, and I just said it because I was too. What do you think? Also, we have a pretty deep emotional talks when we're on the phone. We always talk for 2 to 3 hours straight. And another thing, I think I might be suffering from ADHD because I recognize some traits. It's a lot of info. Okay. I'm not sure what the last part has to do with your situation, but okay. So you're talking to this guy for 2 months. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with him wanting to build strong friendships. That's kind of the foundation of any relationship. But what I will say is you need to be, I don't want you to get into a dangerous place where you begin projecting your feelings of him onto him. As I get that he's calling you and stuff like that, I just want you to be weary of that. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a position where, because you like a guy, you assume that everything he's doing is under the pretense that he likes you. I will say guys don't invest in you for no reason. So if he's calling you and talking to you on the phone for 2 to 3 hours straight, it's not for no reason. It's not because he wants to just stay on the phone for 2 or 3 hours. Obviously he's interested in you, but I just want you, like, I want you to make sure that in the process of this friendship, there is some sort of forward moving direction. Because this is what happens sometimes. Sometimes when you say, okay, we're building a friendship, cool, but we're building a friendship not with the end goal of trying to set the foundation of having a relationship. Sometimes you find yourself with a guy who is just, stringing you along and wants to do a half relationship, half friendship thing. And then very quickly, this can turn into, even though you guys are talking on the phone, very quickly, sometimes this can turn into like a friends with benefits, we're dating, but we're not dating type of thing. Right? And you don't want that. You don't want a like we're dating, but we're not officially dating type of thing, because he's stuck in the, I want to build a friendship and I'm not ready for a relationship yet. Because then what's the whole point of this? Right? So my advice to you would definitely don't be jumping out of the window and giving this man squirtles. Right? Don't be jumping out of the window and giving this man squirtle, because that's only going to hurt your ability to actually figure out if he's trying to build something with you or if he's just trying to waste some of his time with you. Because some guys might be doing this because they just want to waste their time with you. Okay? Does that make sense? Was there a glitch for you guys on YouTube? Some people said that the mic cut out. I can't redo the entire thing, but the synopsis of it was that I said that, you guys can see it on the screen here, but I told Ima to make sure she's weary of not allowing this to string on for too long in this friendship realm, and definitely don't be giving him squirtle when he has said he has no necessary intention of building a real relationship with you. And make sure that if this is going to continue like this, you're not offering yourself to him for no reason in a way that's going to turn you into just some sort of friends with benefits situation. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Next we have, by the way, guys, if you want to ask your question in the Discord, just go to the link in my description, and then you can access at the very bottom, and you can see the Discord, and you can access it there in the relationship advice section and ask your question there, and I'll answer it live on the show. Okay. Next we have Care Bear, who says breadcrumbing. Okay. Care Bear says, what is going on? Care Bear says, loving this show so much. I have 2 best guy friends. That's not good. One in particular, 35-year-old playboy, serial dater. As of why are these are your best guy friends? As of last spring, has been expressing to me his desire to make me his wife and mother of his children. Oh my goodness. Okay. 5 months ago, he got out of a 3-year relationship. Okay. As of late, anytime I come around, my friend, after a few drinks, will take me to the side and say he doesn't care for the girls around, tells me he wants to leave, asks me to go home with him, etc., etc. I will literally force him not to make a scene and tell him to go talk to girls. He'll also talk to me like a friend about girls. A couple months ago, I went back to his place after a night out. He mentioned times he thought of me more as a friend, even though he was with his ex. Asked if I find him attractive and if I ever think of him. He went down on me after a couple hours. No pineapples. Okay. What? But still, he went down on you. All right. Let's get through this. We behaved very normal afterwards, but our mutual bestie heard the story. He behaved very normal after, but our mutual bestie heard the story from the both of us shortly after my friend went to Florida for 2 months. We didn't speak every day, which was quite normal for us. He asked me to come visit, but I got busy at work and couldn't make the trip. Now he is home and we went out this weekend. He approached me saying, you didn't call me or text me, did not live up to your expectation that night. I don't know what it is about you that I'm so attracted to. I know I want to be in a relationship before you have pineapples. We stayed at his that night, fooled around, but no pineapples. You're doing a lot of tempting yourself. You're putting yourself in temptation's way. He is trying to convince me to live in the moment with him. Of course he is, because he wants you to make the decision and give him pineapples and give him your Squirtle and let things go naturally. His past relationships have started this way. I know I can trust him, but I need to protect myself. You should. He says he doesn't want to hurt me and I torture him. We haven't been on a date. Should I give my friend a chance? And if so, do I assist a dynamic change? I do like and love him very much. Like he says to me all the time, I just won't let him know until I'm secure. Okay. Care Bear, listen to me very closely, because you're like a couple steps away from playing this absolutely the wrong way. What you need to do right now, listen to me very closely. If you're in the chat or you're hearing this, stop going to his house. Okay. Every time you go to his house, something nefarious happens. Stop going to his house. That is mistake number one. Every time you play with temptation, you're only making it easier for yourself you keep saying we didn't have pineapples. But if you go over to his house enough and you fool around, you're eventually going to have pineapples and you're toast if you do this. You just finished telling me he's 35, he's a playboy and a serial dater. So you should know that it ends very badly for you as soon as you give him pineapples without him properly being invested in you. What you need to do is pull all the way back. Stop going to his house. And every time he does that thing where he drinks and he tells you how much he wants to be with you and how much he wants to spend time with you and how much he wants to make you his girl and all that good stuff, right? You tell him, cool, if you want to make me your girl so bad, if you want to spend time with me that bad, if you want me so bad that you can't even fathom your life without me, cool. Show me that by showing me that you can be consistent and actually, show me what it's like to be in a relationship with you. You don't even have to go in detail as to what you want. Okay? But just let him know that you're not convinced by words, right? So if you want actual, what you should actually say, just let him know you're not convinced by words and you're not going to continue coming over to his house and letting things flow. That's not how you operate. You have respect for yourself and you're not going to sit around allowing things to flow if there's no end goal or direction here. Okay, so make that very clear and allow him to come to his own decision if he's prepared to do the things necessary to show you that he actually wants to be in a relationship with you. He's 35, okay? You don't have to tell him what to do in order to show you that he actually wants to be in a relationship with you, okay? You shouldn't have to tell him, oh, you got to take me out on a date. You got to actually spend time with me outside of the house. If he can't come up with that by himself, then he's not ready for this. Even if he asks you, what should I do? Don't tell him. Tell him you're a man and you're a smart, intelligent man. If you know you want me so badly, I'm sure you'll figure out how to show me that. Not how to talk about it and then invite me to your house and then start eating me out. Okay? That's not how you do that. Okay? And you need to show him that there are boundaries and you're willing to stick to those boundaries, not just give up things. This is you think it's Guys, I always tell you guys, if you're not doing the manipulating, you're getting manipulated. Do you think it's an accident that he's telling you and trying to convince you to live in the moment? When each of the past few times you've come over to his place, he went down on you, you guys did some stuff, fooled around, but you still didn't give him pineapples? What do you think that is? What do you think that is when he's trying to convince you to live in the moment? That is manipulation. He's trying to tell you, don't think about the consequences. Don't think about how you'll regret this afterwards because now I'll have all the power. You'll have none of the power and I'll be able to be in control of this, have access to you and not commit to you. Don't think about any of that. I want you to focus on the fact that you'll have temporary pleasure, if that, right? If he even has a decent sized schlong. Focus on the fact that you might have some temporary pleasure and not on the fact that afterwards you'll feel like garbage because you'll realize that I tricked you into getting what I want from you, and my interest has now completely disappeared for you. Okay? That's what he doesn't want you to realize when he keeps telling you to live in the moment. Don't live in no moment. Live in the future, because doing things that serve future you is the best way to get the result that most benefits you. Living in the present and living in the moment only satisfies you currently, and then afterwards, when future you is existing, you'll say to yourself, damn, I shouldn't have done that. Damn, I shouldn't have said that. Damn, I shouldn't have went to his house. Damn, I should have made a different decision. Right? So understand, you guys always be saying manipulation is bad. Manipulation is bad. Manipulation is existing all around you. It just doesn't present itself as obvious as you might think. Okay. Him trying to convince you to live in the moment, Care Bear, is not about him wanting you to be more carefree. It's about him wanting pineapples from you. And you need to, he's 35 years old. If he really wants you that bad, he can show you that without you going over to his place. Okay. I think that we already did this one. Yeah, this is one that I think we already did. We already did Joe's. I've been on 6 dates. Last time we saw each other. Okay, maybe we haven't done this one. Let's see here. Oh no, we have. His Facebook profile says he's married. Well, no, yeah, we did Joe's already. Let's see which other ones we have. We may have done this one already too. Change the title post. Okay, no, we didn't do this one. Okay, I'm just a girl says, me, 20-year-old, a guy I met 1 month ago, he's 20 years old at uni, is giving me mixed signals and saying he only sees me as a friend, even though he pursued to drink and eat with me at the same time, same straw, same bite, and the same sandwich. That is quite strange. Okay. He claims he likes my company and wants to protect me, and doesn't see second intention, even though at the beginning of our forced friendship by him, that he finds me attractive. He is handsome. So you're saying, like, basically he created this friendship out of you turning him down. Long story short, today his friend disrespected me by wanting me to hang out with more guys, but I didn't want to because I was the only girl. That's why I didn't want to. And he was staring, not doing anything. Okay. I felt so unsafe and unprotected, even though that's what he said he was, even though he said he was there for me. Guys, you got to make sure you spell check. This was our last conversation today. Then I followed him on Insta. He doesn't have my, I don't know what this means. I'm assuming you meant say Facebook. Do you think I did the right decision, and what do you think I should do next? I was planning to play it cool, but I ignored him and talked to him as little as possible. One day later, today I saw him at uni at 9 a.m. He wanted to talk, but I told him I was busy. He answered with, when you're not, whatever, talk. Please make sure you guys spell check this stuff. He responded, nothing changed my mind, in a rude way. I told him I am begging you to open up. He don't communicate properly unless I insist for him to. Then left. He came after my bus 2 minutes later saying sorry for being rude. That was my fault because I left him on red yesterday, not an excuse, and said I wanted to talk tomorrow. What should I do tomorrow? See him and what he says, and do I end this friendship? I don't know. He made this about him being mad and all that. Started with being disrespectful, and know that he wants to make it about him and how it's my fault, and I only left him on red because I'm not that type of person to discuss or have important convo on text. That's good. I thought it's safe. Ooh, all this. Okay. Catch everything. Human bias. I don't catch you. So I'm just skimming through this. Okay. So I'm just a girl. My advice to you is that you need to decide what you want out of this, because it doesn't seem like you know what you want out of this. You seem to be confused, and just on what the status of this is, what this is supposed to be. You need to decide from yourself. Do you actually like or are interested in this guy? If the answer to this question is no, if you're not romantically interested in this guy, just walk away from this friendship. There's no need for you to be dealing with unnecessary drama. If you felt disrespected, then you generally felt disrespected, that's fine. But then there's no need for you to be dealing with unnecessary drama with boys that you don't even plan on building a relationship with. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, just, you're better off letting this go if you know you're not trying to build anything with him. And if you feel that, even if he's trying to build something with you and you know you don't plan on being with him, what's the point of having him around just existing in this weird friendship? It's not really a friendship if he kind of likes you and is interested in you. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you're interested in him, that's a totally different thing. I would advise you not to do a weird half friendship, half relationship thing. So there needs to be a clear expectation of what's going on and what the boundary is. And you have to be the first one to decide what you want out of this relationship or friendship. Are you trying to build something real, or do you not really care for him? If you don't really care for him, then you don't need to be putting this much time and attention into him at all. So your first step to figuring out what's going on here is to decide what you want out of this relationship. If it truly is just friendship and you just want a casual friend, I would honestly advise you to just cut this off and forget about it and move on. If you're trying to build something with him, then you guys can actually work on the issue and have a conversation and try to come to an understanding and a compromise. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's do one more here. Goldie says, oh no, this is from yesterday. This is also from a couple days ago. Yeah, we did Miss St. Louis. Okay, so we just have Barry. Barry says, does your advice work for long distance as well, or is it different? My advice when I talk about relationships and when I talk about, is at least for today, when we're talking about why men fall in love with emotions, everything I talk about eliciting emotions, getting a guy to desire you, getting a guy to chase you, is based on being able to see him in person. Long distance is not necessarily a bad thing, but what I want you to understand is long distance can very easily be confused with being someone's pen pal. And if you become someone's pen pal, you're not actually in a real relationship with that person. Okay. I want to be the first person to tell you that a real relationship is not being someone's pen pal where you guys never see each other in person or have no plans of seeing each other in person. You just simply talk on the phone all the time, 24/7. Without any intention of spending real in-person time together. There's also a difference between a long-distance relationship, pen pal, and a relationship that was closer in person, but because of circumstances, jobs, moving to places, school, whatever, now it's long distance. That's very different. Some of you that are trying to build the relationship through distance, that is only possible if you guys are committed to seeing each other in real life on a regular schedule. If there's no commitment there to doing that, or you guys are lackadaisical with that, or you guys are not committed, like not ready for that, then you're just being someone's pen pal, in which case none of my advice will work for you. You can't make someone desire you or fall in love with you over the phone, unfortunately, guys. Like I need you guys to get this through your heads. None of what you're talking about, none of what we're talking about in terms of building desire, eliciting emotion, getting a guy to chase you or pursue after you, none of that happens over the phone. Don't be focused on how to get people to like you over the phone. Because in reality, any qualities that a guy likes or finds you interesting about you over the phone is not even representative of who you really are anyways. Because the same way I just told you guys before is, if you could spend so much time talking to someone over the phone, think that you guys are getting along, have chemistry, then when you finally meet him in person, you'd be like, damn, you're kind of weird, you're kind of awkward, you kind of smell bad, you're kind of not what I thought you would be. So get rid of this idea that you're going to grow relationships with people over the phone. There's a difference between growing a relationship and maintaining one with someone you already have a close bond with. That's different. That becomes long distance. But get out of this mindset that you're going to grow relationships with people over the phone by texting and calling them a bunch, okay? You're only going to grow relationships with people in person. And especially if you're long distance and you've yet to meet that person in person, then you're not even in a relationship yet. You don't even know that person yet. Okay, so that's the show for today. Sorry for the technical difficulties that we had in the middle of the show there. Don't worry, tomorrow we'll get those fixed up. I don't know if I'll be able to go live tomorrow on TikTok. So just keep that in mind. If you don't see me right on time at 4 p.m. on TikTok, let's say you're here listening to me from TikTok, then I'm definitely probably wasn't able to log in and go live on TikTok. So just hop on YouTube. YouTube never has an issue, okay? YouTube's always fine. So very important that you guys are subscribed here. Those of you that made that decision and did that, found it very easy to just jump onto YouTube, okay? So I love you guys so much. If you want to follow me on Instagram and see everything I'm doing, it's we're not even on TikTok. Oh my gosh. For those of you guys on YouTube, it's right there at the bottom of the screen. Obviously, if you want to rewatch this live in its entirety, just hit the live section and you can rewatch it all in the live section of my profile and see everything there. I'm live for those of you who are new here. I'm live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. And, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So if you want to see me again, you can see me again at those times. Okay. Until then, I will see you again tomorrow, where we shall have another great conversation and lots of fun, interesting conversation about love, life, and relationships. Okay. Until then, goodbye. And I love you so much. Okay. I'll see you later.